October might be the month I finally admit that my reading habits have gotten out of control, but I'm gonna live in denial for as long as I can. Hey everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be my October wrap up. So I'm gonna take you through the 32 books I read in October. I have a problem, I know. I have just had a lot of fun reading and I don't want to hear any hate comments about it. I read 29 physical books that I have to show you today, and then I read 3 arcs which I read on my Kindle, which I'm hopefully going to edit onto the screen. I need to figure that out, but we're going to start with the physical books because it's easier. I'm kind of going to talk to you about them in the order I read them in. However, there are a few series where I kind of read them in between other books throughout the month, so I'm just going to put the series together even if I didn't read them all one after the other, because it makes it more fun to talk about and I can go into a bit more detail without giving you any spoilers. So I started off by reading the Dimly series by Estelle Mascom, and I have a lot of thoughts. So if you didn't know, which I didn't know going into these books, this is a young adult romance between step siblings. And I was so caught unaware, so maybe that affected my rating on the books because that's not something I read about or want to read about. So I found it very hard to root for the relationship, obviously. It's young adult and it was written, I think I saw the author actually post that she started writing this series 13 years ago. Obviously it took years to write these books, but I think I could tell that it was written in the 2010s, just by, you know, that vibe of young adult 2010s writing. It was in this book, so if you like that, you'll like these. Let's go on to the actual ratings. I am very aware that this lighting is being a bit weird. So, the first book is Did I Mention I Love You, which I actually rated 3.5 stars. There were some fun bits in it because there was a lot about the other characters, like other than the main couple. So I rated 3.5 stars. Then I read Did I Mention I Need You and rated it 2 stars. Really didn't like that one. And finally I read Did I Mention I Miss You, which I also rated 2 stars. I didn't like any of the characters other than the youngest brother. The rest of them were annoying. They either did stuff cringy, like I had to put this book down so many times because of how cringy I found it. It was just not my thing. I'm gonna sort the lighting out because it's really starting to annoy me how I have a line on my face. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I think that's better. It is getting dark out, so let's get going. Next I read Just Don't Mention It, which is a book from the guy's point of view from that series. I rated this one 2.5 stars. I never liked him in the books and I don't think this redeemed him for me. I understood him a bit more, but I just don't think this series is for me. It's for a lot of people though. This series is very, very popular. But yeah, these were all actually sent to me by the publishers. Black and White Publishing, so Ink Road sent me these books, so thank you to you guys. I'm sorry I didn't like these books. Okay, next up I read the first 2 books in the Magnolia Parks universe by Jessa Hastings. These are such big books. I read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings and rated it 4.5 stars. I absolutely love this book. I'm not going to go into too much detail because A, you've probably seen it everywhere, but also I read this book in my 5-star predictions reading vlog. This was so good. Be warned, the whole book is about the cheating trope, which I don't like, but if you think if that's what's stopping you from reading the book, what I would say is go into it for the drama, for the rich drama, for the gossip. Don't go into it for the relationship, because that's what I did and I loved it. If I would have gone into it rooting for the 2 characters to end up together, I don't think I would have liked it as much. I don't forgive BJ yet. Maybe I will if the series continues, but for now I don't forgive him. Unpopular opinion probably, because I know a lot of people love him. But then I continued and I read Daisy Hates, which is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe, but this is the first book in the Daisy Hates series. You kind of read like the first book from each series, the second book from each series, and then there's some more coming out, I think. I rate this one 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. Again, it's not the cheating trope, but this whole book is he's in love with another girl. So I couldn't rate it 5 stars. I think he just thinks he's in love with her. He's actually not. But I really, really liked it. Not as much as Magnolia Parks though, which is why this one is 4 stars and that one's 4.5. But overall, very good, and I can't wait to continue with this series. Then in that same video, this like 5-star predictions video, I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And in that video, I was talking about how much I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I really liked it, but the more I think about this book, the more the last 100 pages really annoyed me. I really didn't like the turn we took in this book. I did rate it 4 stars. I love Abby Jimenez's writing so much and I really did like it, but please let me know what you think of the ending if you've read this book. Jess, I know this book is one of your favorites. If you're seeing this, I'm so sorry that I'm talking badly about it, but I did rate it 4 stars, okay? So please forgive me. I liked Part of Your World a lot better. Anyway. Then I read a little spooky book, which it wasn't actually spooky, it just has witches in it, which I absolutely loved. And that is Appeel by Kate Johnson. Let's ignore what I did to that sticker. We're just gonna pretend that it's clouds in the photo. I rated this book 4 stars. I really loved it. Didn't realise that this was a play on words till the other day when my boyfriend laughed at the title. I'm moving swiftly on. This is about Essie and Josh. He's human, she's a witch, but he doesn't know. Oh, it was so good. I really loved it. It got me in the spooky season feeling. It was really fun. Really good, and I would definitely recommend it. These are 2 books that I read in that video as well, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I read Addicted for Now and Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and oh my goodness. Both of these books are 5-star reads. I thought I couldn't love a book in this series as much as I love Lily and Lo's story, and then I read about Rose and Connor. This is my favourite book in the series so far. Rose and Connor are my favourite couple so far. One of my favourite couples ever. I love Lily and Lo, but they take #1 spot for me so far. I rated both these books 5 stars. I absolutely loved the reality TV aspect. If you want to know my thoughts in more detail, you can watch me read them and talk about them in that reading vlog. But I definitely recommend this series. It's very dark. Lily and Lo's books are all about addiction. So check content warnings. This is what I was talking about where I didn't read these. I read these books throughout the month, but I'm going to talk about them together. It's the first 3 books in the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. I did start the 4th one, but then I got distracted by some other books, so I am going to read that in November, but that's why that's not here. Let's talk about them. This is amazing. I absolutely love this series. This is a F1 romance, basically. The guys, so far it's all been guys, are all F1 drivers. I am right in saying that, right? Yes. I didn't want to discredit any other woman. And they are obviously, they all know each other, and then they're falling in love with these different girls, and it's all kind of collected. So we have the first one, which is Maya and Noah's story, which I absolutely loved. So Noah got into a crash with Maya's brother, and then Maya goes on tour with her brother Santi, and it's like brother's rival, like, I don't know how to explain. Noah hates her brother but can't stay away from her, and I rated it 4 stars. I really liked it. I read that video. I read this book even in that video too. And then we have Sophie and Liam's story. So Liam is on the same team as Jax, not as, maybe they're on the same team, I got confused. But Sophie is Maya's best friend and also the daughter of their manager, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and he's basically been in trouble in the media for, I think, being in a relationship with someone else in the F1, high up in the F1 industry. So he's like, the worst thing for me to do for my career right now is start dating my boss's daughter, and yet they can't stay away from each other. I rated this one 4 stars too. And then we have Wrecked, which I absolutely loved. It did wreck me though. We have Elena and Jax. So Elena is a like PR person and gets gets employed to be Jax's PR person, to follow him around, make sure he doesn't get in trouble, make sure he doesn't start drinking, make sure he doesn't, you know, get in any PR trouble. And Jax, oh my goodness, Elena and Jax both have such sad stories in this book. They both hurt each other, they both heal together. Please check up trigger warnings for this whole series, but especially this one. Oh my goodness. It was so sad. 4.5 stars, my favourite in the series so far. But I absolutely recommend. I can't wait to read Santi's book. Then we have 6 Stephen King books. I have a video up on my page where I read 5 Stephen King books in 5 days. So if you want to see me talk about them in detail and read them for real time, watch that video. But let's talk through them anyway. First up, we have Firestarter by Stephen King, which I didn't read in that video, but did inspire me to make that video. I rated this one 4 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I needed to go on a Stephen King binge after this one. I'm not going to tell you much information about all of these because I love going into Stephen King books blind, but the daughter is a Firestarter. So her parents did this, like, they were guinea pigs for some test trial, where they got given like placebo effect but of drugs, but it gave them long-lasting powers that they passed down onto their daughter, and the government is out to try and get them, basically. 4 stars, really good. Took me on this binge, which I'm very happy about. Then I read the second book in the Bachman Books quartet, which is The Long Walk by Richard Bachman, who is Stephen King, just under a pseudonym name. I rated it 4.5 stars. It is so gruesome. The Long Walk is set in the future, and it is where 100 boys walk 450 miles straight. It's televised, people go and watch. There's no breaks for nothing. They have people that are giving them food and water, but they cannot stop walking. And if they go under, I think it's 4 kilometers an hour once, they get a warning. And they have to walk for another hour to get that warning taken off. But if they go under again, or if they stop, second warning, third warning. And then something absolutely horrific happens, which I'm sure you can guess, but I'm not going to tell you. I love the open-ended ending. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not. I do know that Stephen King writes some love or hate endings, but I love going on a Reddit deep dive and finding out what loads of different people thought about the ending. Some of the parts did break my heart. 4.5 stars. I read Cojo, which I also rated 4.5 stars. If you don't know what this book's about, I'm sure you already do because the movie is huge. This is about a dog that gets rabies. I felt so claustrophobic in this book. I felt like I was in the car with the main characters who were trapped in there. I rated it 4.5 stars, like I said. I was very freaked out. The ending, oh my goodness. As an animal lover, it made me sad, but like, I understood. You know what I mean? I read Pet Sematary, which I rated this one 5 stars. It was perfection. It was so creepy. This is the book that Stephen King said he sat down and read it and was like, oh my god, I've finally gone too far this time. Put it in a lockbox for months. Didn't want to publish it because he thought even he had gone too far. This is about a pet cemetery where people bury their pets, but there's a secret bit at the back where if you bury your dead pet, it comes back to life. Oh my goodness, it was very creepy because it poses the question, what would happen if you put a human in that cemetery? This book deals with a lot of grief. If you are a parent, maybe don't read this book if you don't want your heart to be broken. My heart was broken, but I rated it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Then we have The Eyes of the Dragon, which again, read in that video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I rate this one 3 stars. Definitely not my favourite from King. If you like classic fantasy with a castle and a knight and a, you know, like a Lord of the Rings vibe, as in the writing style, you might love this. I don't love those kinds of books. I don't really love medieval classic fantasy. So I rated 3 stars. I love the bad guy in this book. I will never shut up about him. I loved the ending, but I didn't love probably that much of it, so I rated it 3 stars. Then we have The Dark Half by Stephen King, one of my most anticipated reads. Oh my goodness, I rated this book 4 stars. This is a book, okay, keep in mind, Stephen King has a pseudonym name, right, of Richard Bachman. This is a book about a guy whose pseudonym comes to life and is murderous. This was absolutely crazy. A whirlwind. The only reason I rated it 4 stars and not 5 stars was because I did feel like a little bit dragged. I don't know though. I might change that to 4.5 because thinking back on it, what dragged? I don't know. This is 4 stars currently. Might change to 4.5. Next up, I read some books by the Twisted Sisters, who are Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. I finally finished the Dark Fae series. I read Warrior Fae. Ignore the cover, it is horrendous, but this book was 5 stars. It was perfection. However, look how small the writing is, right? This book's over 700 pages long. It was so long. Like, I understood and I loved every second of it, but it was so long to get through. I rated it 5 stars. I can't tell you anything about it because it's the last book in a series, but this series was written 5 years before the events of Zodiac Academy, so if you're a fan of that series, check this one out. Okay, I filmed a video where I read 12 hours of the Zodiac Academy series and I read these books. So again, not going into too much detail, but I'll give you the ratings. This was Origins of an Academy Bully. I rated this one 4 stars. This is a prequel novella to the series. I really liked getting more info on some of the characters and learning more info about an event that happened. This is all based about one event that is referenced throughout the books and we get a bit more info and I really liked it. 4 stars. And we have The Awakening, which I rated 5 stars. Oh my goodness, it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I've read it before, I've read it again now, and I will read it again, and I will rate it 5 stars every time. I love this series. It is dark fantasy romance. So good. Then I read Ruthless Fae, which I rated 5 stars as well. So much happened in this book. Oh my goodness. So good. That ending, my heart was in my mouth. So tense, so fast-paced, 5 stars, absolutely love. A guide to My Camera's About to Die. It says it's got no battery left. Let's speed things up. We have Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is translated Japanese fiction, I think. This is about a character who it's never explicitly said, but I think she's definitely neurodivergent. It's just about her working in a convenience store, but it also has so much more of a deeper meaning of how women are treated in retail jobs, especially in, I think, Japan, obviously. I can't remember what this is. Yes, Japanese. Okay. So how they're treated in Japan and in the workforce and what traditional male views are in that country and in general in the world. I rated it 3 stars. It wasn't my favourite. It was all 1 chapter and it was about 150 pages, which is probably why I lowered my rating, because I find it really hard to get through books that don't have chapters. But this was 3 stars and I think it's an important read. The camera died, the lighting's changed a bit. Let's just keep going. Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. I rated this one 4 stars. This is the 3rd book in the Twisted series and it follows Jules and Josh. Josh is Ava from the first book's sister and Jules is Ava's best friend. And these two hate each other. This is enemies to lovers. I mean, I feel like Contemporary doesn't really do that amazingly, but this one did it well. This was enemies to lovers. Oh my goodness, this book took me on a ride. The I lied scene, I still have mixed feelings about it. I'm getting flashbacks to reading this book. Oh my goodness. I didn't expect that. I did not expect that. Even the fact that, like, I knew that line was important because I'd seen it everywhere. The context was worse than I thought. I rated this one 4 stars. I really liked it. I can't wait to finish this series with Twisted Lies, which is on my November TBR. I need to put all these away after this video. We're not even done with the physical books. So I reread Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. I listened to this a couple years ago, but then I found a physical copy. Oh, I rated this one 4 stars. It is a really important and special book to me because this is about a girl with agoraphobia, which is what I have. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know whether it's even pronounced agoraphobia or agoraphobia. I just know from what I go by. She can't leave the house because of her anxiety. It's all based around her trying to find herself again, get over her trauma and learn to, you know, be able to go back to being a functioning member of society and be able to go outside and reclaim her freedom, really. I rate this one 4 stars. I really, really like it. It's really important to me and I'm gonna tear up if I keep talking about it. So let's move on. I really, really recommend. I think it's such an important read and I really urge you all to read it. So, the last 3 physical books I read were also all rereads from my favourite comfort series of all time. That's the Skullduggery Pleasant series by Derek Landy. I love these books so much. I've had them since I was, oh my gosh, very young. Since I was a child. I've annotated the first one. My first copy is falling apart because of how much I've read it. So I reread the first 3 books. The first one is called Skullduggery Pleasant and of course I rated it 5 stars. This is about, so the series is, I think it's all technically young adult. I think the first 2 books are a lot younger young adult and then as the main girl gets older so does the writing style. So this follows a girl who attends her uncle's funeral, finds that he's left everything to her and gets into some trouble because of her uncle. And then another guy at the funeral turns out to be Skullduggery Pleasant, the skeleton detective. He is dead man walking, basically. He's a skeleton, but he's alive and he was friends with her uncle. Turns out magic's real and her uncle knew about it and he left out everything because he thought she might be fit for the world of magic. And they just go on adventures. She's 12 in the first book. She slowly becomes an adult throughout the books. They go on so many adventures. It is so fun and so cozy and so comforting for me. So I rated all 3 of these books 5 stars, obviously, but I read Skullduggery Pleasant, Skullduggery Pleasant Playing with Fire, and Skullduggery Pleasant The Faceless Ones. I rate them all 5 stars. I so recommend this series. Oh my goodness. I was put on this earth to recommend the Skullduggery Pleasant series to you guys. That's all the physical books. I also read 3 arcs on my e-reader. They were all sent to me by NetGalley, so thank you to NetGalley. The first book I read that was an e-arc was How the Hitman Stole Christmas by Katie Rius. This book was absolutely insane. It was a novella, which I rated 2.5 stars. I think it would have been a better idea to make it a full-length book. It was funny. It's about a girl who spies on her neighbour, and he ends up being a serial killer. But he is the sunshine in the Grumpy Sunshine thing. He was described as a cinnamon roll killer, which I've never read about before. It was crazy. It was a novella, so anything else and I would spoil it. I rated it 2.5 stars. Unfortunately, wasn't for me, but I'm sure it will be for some of you guys out there. The next book I read was The Breakup Clause by Neve Hagen, I think is how you pronounce that name. I'm sorry if it's wrong. So this book had such a unique plot. I rated it 3.5 stars. It's about these 2 people. So this girl is at work one day and then she goes to see who the new, like, I guess interns, that's not what they're called, but that's kind of what they are, on a summer program is. And she runs into her husband, who she married in Vegas 8 years ago. They were going to get divorced a year after that because they were drunk. They weren't even in a relationship. But he's been ghosting her for the last 7 years and they're still married. And then he shows up to work at her job. Oh my goodness. This was a plot like no other. It was insane. I rated 3.5 stars. It does have some darker topics, so check trigger warnings. Thanks to NetGalley because this was a ride. It was fun. I would recommend this one. And then the last one I read was Frosty Proximity by Liz Alden. This was Grumpy Sunshine and a novella as well. And I rated this one 3.5 stars as well. So this is about a girl whose job is like styling clients, makeup, clothes, all that sort of stuff. And she styles this one guy who is a friend of some of her other clients' who are her friends, and he's always kind of been really reserved and doesn't really talk much because he's liked her the whole time. She celebrates Christmas, he celebrates Hanukkah, and there is a snowstorm that cancels her plane back to go and celebrate Christmas. So he offers her a room at his house and she goes and celebrates Hanukkah with his family instead. It was so cute. I loved it. It had some great trans representation, and if you've read this novella, which I think it will be out by the time I'm making this video, the makeup scene touched me, made me so happy. It was just wonderful. I rated it 3.5 stars and I definitely recommend it. It's got me in the Christmas mood. I want it to be Christmas now. But that is all 32 books I read in October. I know it's a lot. I would say that November will have less, but knowing me, it won't. I read a lot of mix of books. I didn't have any 1 stars this month. Or 2 stars. No, I had 2 stars at the beginning. But I think overall I had a really good reading month. I don't know, I read quite a few of them on audio. I read a lot of them when I couldn't sleep. That's how I get all my reading done. Don't really sleep, have agoraphobia like I spoke about, so I don't leave the house. And it's also my special interest, so it's all I want to do or talk about constantly, books, reading. Anyway, let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what your favourite read of October was, because I absolutely love reading about other people's books they love. But that's everything for this video. If you would like to see more from me, please be sure to like and subscribe, because I post new videos every single Monday, and sometimes I post extras. You got one coming on Thursday as well, so look forward to that. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in another video. Bye!